We are about to reveal one of the great mysteries of our time, an enigma that is breaking the minds of physicists for more than a century. The cause is none other than 1 in 137. This number appears in practically all the equations we make, such as relativity, electromagnetism, and quantum mechanics. Represents the most incredible mystery in physics. We always want to know what is beyond the universe and what are we doing here. How was everything created? And this number can give us the final key. All the constants of the cosmos, including the number pi, the speed of light, and Planck's constant depend on that number. Burn 1 out of 137, because from now on you are going to embark on an intriguing journey that can drive you crazy and represents the hidden key to our entire reality. The mystery. Surely many of you have not heard of 1 in 137, or to be more precise, it is 1 in 137.03599. Also 0.00729773. Although we are going to refer to it as 1 in 137, this number is defined with the Greek letter alpha. It is also called a fine structure constant, because it is associated with phenomena that involve fine details or small structures in nature. That value does not seem like something special that catches our attention, but any theoretical physicist knows that intriguing number, and some who have researched it have gone crazy. All the equations appear to us whether we like it or not, and that makes it very strange, to the point that many physicists have 137 recorded in their room. That number is trying to tell us something. The physicist Richard Feynman thought we should be seriously concerned about that number, and called it one of the greatest mysteries of physics. Also called the curse number that appears to us in our calculations without anyone understanding it. The physicist Wolfgang Pauli said that when he died he would want to ask him about its meaning. But what makes that number so special to the point that many physicists are obsessed with it? This number involves 3 of the constants of the cosmos: the speed of light, the electric charge of electrons, and Planck's constant. It was first introduced by Arnold Sommerfeld in 1916 to describe certain effects on the fine structure of hydrogen spectral lines in the presence of electric fields. The Sommerfeld fine structure constant is defined in this equation as follows: the square of the elementary charge of the electron divided by 4 pi times the permittivity of the vacuum times the reduced Planck constant times the speed of light in the vacuum. This simple equation could explain the entire cosmos or the very nature of reality, since it is made of other main constants. As you may have noticed, if this constant were significantly different, our physical laws and the stability of matter would be very different. The speed of light, the behavior of atoms and electrons would change. Human beings need to know the laws of the cosmos, and we associate constants to explain it. The universal gravitational constant, the speed of light, Planck's constant are just a few that govern our reality. But the fine structure constant is more intriguingly making its appearance in various areas of physics, which means that we cannot realize our calculations in relativity and quantum physics without that number. It is as if the entire universe depended on it. The constants define our reality. It doesn't matter if we are here or in the Andromeda galaxy. If other beings exist, they must know those same laws. And here comes something really intriguing. The curious thing about the value 1 in 137 is that it has no units of measurement. It is a pure number. For example, the speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second. There are units such as kilograms, pascals, joules, etc. Almost everything has units of measurement, but not the constant alpha. So if one day we have contact with aliens, before sending them naked photos, it would be good to send them 1 in 137, and I would tell them that we already have some knowledge about the laws of the cosmos, that we know a little more about quantum physics, and that most of us are something more what simple provocateurs. The physicist Wolfgang Pauli was obsessed with that number his entire life, and tried to find out what it meant and why the universe had given it to us. He became so obsessed with the idea that he died in room 137 of the Rock-Crox Hospital in Zurich and asked everyone to come see him. Discovery of the fine structure constant. At the beginning of the 20th century, we were discovering what matter was made of and quantum physics was taking shape. The atom was no longer an indivisible particle, but was made up of smaller ones such as electrons and protons. The hydrogen spectral lines experiment was a key piece in the history of quantum physics, and it is when we discovered the fine structure constant. Arnold Sommerfeld discovered this constant in the spectral lines of hydrogen. When hydrogen atoms absorb energy, for example through heat or electricity, the electrons in those atoms jump to higher energy levels. When these electrons return to lower energy levels, they must release the absorbed energy in the form of visible light, which are electromagnetic waves. Arnold Sommerfeld realized that the transition that the electron makes between these energy levels repeated like a pattern and gave a certain number, 1 in 137, which he called fine structure. At the time, that number was considered a fun oddity, but the problem came when it appeared everywhere. The fine structure constant reappears at the wavelength associated with the movements of the particles and their interactions. For example, the repulsive energy of 2 electrons is 137 times smaller than that of 1 photon. The orbital speed of 1 electron of the hydrogen atom is 137 times slower than the speed of light. Again and again it appears 1 in 137, or 137 raised to some power. What's going on? There is no reason for unrelated physical phenomena to appear. From the atomic structure, which also appears in the theory of relativity, to the interactions of elementary particles such as the Feynman diagram, where the squared fine structure constant appears, as a probability for electromagnetic interactions. All of this suggests that it could play a deeper role in the very structure of the universe. The mystery of the constant. And here comes something more mysterious. This constant is not measured directly, it appears as a number in the equations so they can be solved. By simple mathematical calculation, we must enter the happy number for the equations to work. When a number appears indirectly, it means that there is an unknown mathematical basis that supports it. It seems like the basis of the universe's code for everything to work. But perhaps it is very advanced and requires such an evolved theory that it is too much for our level of intelligence. This is what intrigues us, since it seems that through this constant everything else is created, including a universe adjusted to allow life. It is notable that if the value of alpha were slightly different, the conditions for the formation of elements essential for life, such as carbon, would be considerably different. It's as if behind that value there was something much bigger that we should know. Nature insists on that number over and over again, and that has caused many attempts to come up with a unifying theory that involves the constant. But the most interesting thing comes now, and that is that although that number is constant and has the same value in the observable universe, its value can change with the energy of the system being studied, such as those found in high-energy particle physics experiments. Other theoretical models suggest that the fine structure constant d has changed over time. In the extreme conditions near the Big Bang, with a large amount of energy at one point, the alpha constant could be close to 1, but it quickly dropped in value with the initial inflation and expansion of the universe. We don't know why it stopped at this value, but if it hadn't, we wouldn't be here. The anthropic explanation tells us that if the fine structure constant were different, we could not exist, and it has the value it has because it is the only one compatible at this moment with our existence, or other similar beings. If it were only 4% higher or lower, atoms or stars could not form, they could not maintain nuclear reactions, the particles would interact very differently. Any change, no matter how minimal, would give rise to another universe. It is as if that value had been specially chosen, since it defines all the other constants. More than 100 years after its discovery, I would like to be able to tell you what 1 in 137 means. Although we don't know exactly, we have some ideas. When two particles approach each other, there is always a probability that they will interact, and they can do so in various ways according to Feynman diagrams. The way to do it depends on many factors, such as the spins, charges, their masses, etc., and all of this adds up to whether the interaction is probable or not. That base probability comes precisely from the fine structure constant. Is the coupling force of the electromagnetic force. That is why it always appears in all the equations that depend on the electromagnetic force. But what we do not know is why alpha has the value it has and not another, and why does the combination of several constants result in the fine structure constant. It could be the mechanism that caused the Big Bang and established the values of the constants. There are even more incredible ideas, from an intelligent being causing it, to thinking that we live in a simulation. But if someone is controlling the simulation, they should also be in a universe with certain laws. So where do all those constants come from? Another possibility is that this is not the only universe and that others exist with other constants. This is what Stephen Hawking thought in his book, The Brief History of Time. The alpha constant was one of the ideas that suggested the idea of a multiverse. The reason we are here with such a tight constant could well be because there are many more universes where our way of life is not possible, just as not all planets can support life. Einstein once said, "What interests me is whether God had a choice when creating the world. Is this the only way to create a universe? It may be that to create a universe, it is only necessary to decide the fine structure constant at the beginning, so that all the other constants are decided. If we could manage to manipulate this number, we could create universes or manipulate our own. We hands are always obsessed with manipulating everything and having control of how much surrounds us. But 1 in 137 controls us, and we don't like that. 137 is the key to everything, and we need to know more. From my point of view, nothing can come from nothing, and if it did, there was 1 in 137. Richard Feynman said of him, "You could say that the hand of God wrote that number, and we don't know how he pushed his pencil." When we open a door to the unknown, others open to us with new mysteries. Human beings have such short lives that we only see a frame of the universe's existence. When we contemplate the cosmos, there are only moments in past history, billions of stars and galaxies that we will not see change in our short existence. So it may be that what we call constants is a present point of view and that they change over the course of time. There is something bigger that surpasses us, and we know it is there waiting to be discovered. Hush.